Hi, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to a special edition of Everything Construction Corner. As I mentioned in last week's episode, we are adding a new segment to the podcast where we talk about industry news at the beginning of each month. Before we start, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors for today's episode, Glowjoy Co., a design build construction management company serving the North and Southeastern United States. For those who are new here, I'm your host, Gloria Marie, a third generation small business owner and GC, and I am one of the co founders of Glowjoy Co. So, welcome. Thank you so very much for being here. I'm really, really grateful to all of you who join me on a weekly basis at the Everything Construction Corner podcast and live stream. We are shaking things up for 2025. As I mentioned in episodes 1 and 2, we have a new lineup for season 2 of incredible guests here at the Everything Construction podcast. And for this year, we would also like to launch a construction news show. We realize that the legacy media is dead and has been dead for a very, very long time. And here at Glowjoy Co., we've got some new Gen Z blood in the house. And so, with that, we have an incredible show produced to you guys by Olivia Gavlak. So, Olivia, behind the scenes, thank you so much for helping us out with today's episode. We love you so much and we are so excited. So, let's get started. All right, everybody. So, in today's episode, we're going to cover major news trends in construction for the month of January, and we'll do that every single month. We'll follow with a newsletter, which you guys can sign up for the Everything Construction newsletter in the comments, both here on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe. If you have been with us for a while, hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time that we come on live. Today, we're going to talk about economic and technological setbacks for construction companies, how the job market is faring a month into the new year, how sustainability trends are still shaping the construction industry, how our construction friends around the world are faring, and discuss their impact on the industry. So, to get started, let's talk about the economy. For the first set of headlines, they kind of go hand in hand, and we want to talk about housing, mainly the growth in the US and also the new home sales and construction. So, with every new administration, obviously, we have a shakeup every single 4 years. Sometimes it's every 8 years, depending on whether there's a change in hand in parties. This year, obviously, we saw that there's been a shakeup in hands and parties everywhere, from the Senate to the House to the big house and everything in between. So a lot of people are really, really stressed out with all of the headlines, particularly all over X, on tariffs and what these tariffs and what the impact of the tariffs are going to have on the construction industry. As we discussed in episode 1 with Josh Lubrick, I will tell you guys that it's too early to tell. And while the lumber prices and what that nightmare might have looked like if they didn't reach a deal a couple weeks ago, or I would say like a week ago. It feels like it was much longer than then, but about a week ago, where they decided that they were going to place nice in their sandbox and negotiate for 30 days. We have no clue. Next week might be different. And of course, there is the rest of the world that we have to worry about, right? So, not just Canada, we've got the borders in Mexico locally. And then, of course, we've got the seas. So, we definitely are going to keep an eye on that headline and also keep an eye on regulatory changes within the construction industry, because I realize that that's going to play an effect on how we run our businesses here on for the rest of 2025 for those of us who are small business owners. And then for those who are project owners, it's going to affect how we budget, how we forecast for projects in the construction industry. It's also going to affect the materials that we order. Are we going to be looking at materials and or supplies that are going to be more local so that we can obviously avoid any fluctuation in logistical and or shipping costs? Moreover, obviously we don't want to deal with that nightmare that we had to deal with back during the pandemic where, it took 6, 7 months to get an appliance, or it took over a year to get a light fixture or a piece of steel or something to that nature. So, definitely something we want to keep an eye on. And we will continue to follow the headlines on this and update you all throughout our blogs and our newsletters, which again, want to make sure that if you want to get that exclusive content, that you sign up for our newsletter, where we will be sending all of these articles that we are referencing at the bottom of the screen, and also that we utilized for today's show, so that you can go in and do a deep dive on your own as to what exactly is going on and how that's going to impact you. I'm just here to deliver what's trending in the news and obviously let you guys know exactly how that's affecting us, at least the folks in my part of the industry, and what you guys should look out for the next couple of quarters. So, moving right along, the US population growth rate has reached a 23-year high, according to the National Association of Home Builders. And US new home sales are exceeding expectations at the start of this year. Rising supply is curbing house price growths, according to Reuters. And, the population growth, it's good for the stats of the housing market and to kind of stabilize it. However, with the rise in population growth, there comes a rise also in demand, and we're still not there with the inventory. There's been a slight rise in housing inventory, but not quite as much, particularly in affordable housing, which everybody knows that millennials and the older Gen Zers are struggling still to find. Most millennials and Gen Zers are still renting. You have a couple of folks who are still living with parents. You've got families living on top of each other or in groups, buying homes in groups, because the affordability of housing is just not there yet. The incoming administration has promised to lower the cost of building by loosening up a little bit on the regulatory environment. We here in the construction industry know that obviously the building codes have continued to get slightly stricter throughout the past couple of years, particularly as we try to mimic our European, Australian, and also Asian counterparts with the sustainability methods. This, of course, we also saw the impacts of building greener, building more sustainable, and also taking environmentals into account with the wildfires in California. So obviously, the building codes is something that, while yes, it's exciting to hear that maybe they might be loosening up on some of these regulatory things, particularly in energy, which have been driving the cost of construction up for most of us. We also don't want them to loosen up too much. In fact, there's some areas, in my opinion, that probably could use a little bit tighter building codes, or maybe an overhaul or a review of the building codes. And building codes are different nationwide. We build with different materials depending on where we're at and what type of property we're building. Most of the United States, Middle America, even parts of the West Coast and everywhere else is building with lumber. All the major cities and coastal areas are building with steel or CMU blocks. So very different. And obviously industrial, oil and gas, and other parts of the industry are utilizing other materials. So, we want to, yes, definitely build more affordable housing, but we don't want to sacrifice quality and or sacrifice on safety by doing so. So, another headline that we will 100% continue to keep an eye on. So, number two, I'm going to move on to the labor market. So, the main challenge in 2025 is the main challenge that we've been having for about 10 years, and Mike Rowe has been harping on about for probably about 2 decades. And that's finding workers in the construction industry. ABC News reported actually earlier this year that we need to attract about 439,000 new construction workers in 2025 just to keep up with the demand. In so many words, the construction industry has a labor shortage and has had a labor shortage, but at the same time, there's not enough educated blue collar workers to join the industry. And we still don't have enough people that understand that there are so many other jobs in the construction industry outside of picking up a tool belt and joining the tool belt generation, which Gen Z has been dubbed by so many different industries and not industries, so many different organizations and news outlets, because they are finally the generation that is waking up and saying, hold up, do we really need to go to college, or could we do things a little bit different? And so Gen Z has really kind of changed the way that blue collar work and the way that we as business owners go and recruit, right? We're no longer looking for kids that are coming straight out of trade school. We're also no longer, you know, we're no longer just going for that traditional 4 year college degree, right? In construction management or general construction or in some sort of specialty. We now see communication probably as the number one skill in the construction industry. Can you communicate and can you speak clearly? Do you know how to ask questions and have a willingness to work? And that's really back office as well as the field. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later when we get to our technology section. So the labor market, has been fueled also by a lot of and the immigration that has happened in the United States. The United States was founded by immigrants. It is a country of immigrants. And, we have had a lot of immigrants who have filled a lot of key roles in the field over the past few years. There is a lot of stress currently also within both the unions as well as the private sector as to what that's going to do to the labor market. And by that, I mean the deportation that has also been spoken about in the past couple of months and a part of the current administration's plan. I would say that from what I've gleaned so far from articles that we have posted and read on the internet, it would appear that the folks that are being deported are those with a criminal record. And obviously, majority of the unions and private sectors are doing background checks on folks and also keeping tabs on all of these things. At least I hope you would. So, and if you're not, most definitely do so. So I would hope that we don't have any criminals working in the construction industry, at least not on our job sites. So we would not have to worry about that. So, with that said, I would say this is too early to talk about. And it is something that really we know nothing about in terms of the long term plan and the long term execution of. So it is entirely way too early for us to speculate on what it will do to the labor market. Moreover, we should really also be focusing on always recruiting, whether we're talking to a clerk at the grocery store or we're speaking, to a family member who's looking for a job, or we're, talking to someone's kid who's recently graduated university, any of the any of the people out there that we interact with on a daily basis, and I apologize, I'm a little nervous talking to this screen by myself, but any of the people that we interact with on a daily basis could be our next employee or our next hire, right? It could be a subcontractor, it could be a freelancer, it could be a media specialist, like we have Olivia with us today, and a project coordinator that comes in for special projects. Always be hiring and always be on the lookout. Here at GlowJoy, we have some incredible plans coming up for 2025 where I am going to be stepping down from working on projects and will actually be taking a turn and working on some other things. As such, we've been bringing on some incredible people to do project management, to do project coordination, and to take over the management and day to day for GlowJoy Construction. And I could not be prouder and or more excited to work with all of the different people that have joined us, and invite folks who are here on LinkedIn and on YouTube and watching this show, because we're mainly career focused and offering folks a bird's eye view of the construction industry and all the different careers through our guests and panelists. So yeah, you definitely want to keep an open mind about it, and keep an open mind about the construction industry. So I am going to go back to my notes. I'm not going to free flow anymore, because then I get to stuttering. So let's talk about the headlines around the world real quick. So taking a trip around the world to see what the construction industry looks like in other countries. In Australia and the European Union, I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I broke out about sustainability. There is a lot going on still with the sustainability push and the push, to fix the housing crisis there as well. Our first article actually comes from Australia. $500,000 house build price record set in 2024 as housing approvals fall short of the government target. So Aussie's home building costs effectively are hitting a grim record new high at the end of 2024. And it looks like the nation fell almost 70,000 new home approvals behind target, set to fix the housing crisis because of it. And the reason that we point this out is mainly because as we go back to that regulatory environment that I was talking about earlier, sustainability has a lot to do with that tightening of the regulatory environment. And all that does is drive costs up. So we really need to reevaluate natural gas, which is clean. We really need to reevaluate making things all electric and upgrading power, because that costs a lot of money. We also need to reevaluate some of the regulations for new home buyers, so that perhaps their cost of construction is not quite as high as maybe some more established areas and neighborhoods. And we just need to reevaluate as a whole, as a global community, what sustainability really means and the give and take of sustainability. And we see that a lot with EVs, the cars, and the batteries that are not produced in a sustainable manner and or disposed of in a sustainable manner. So is your EV vehicle really sustainable? I don't know. Anyway, moving right along. The European Union has new rules and safety and sustainability regulations for products as a new step for the sector's competitiveness. And we know that the EU and the Europeans as a whole, particularly in Germany and Sweden, have really spearheaded the sustainability movement. So while this is something that I want to highlight and speak of in depth, I think I want to bring a special guest where we solely pick apart sustainability versus going through these articles. I just want to point point out that the same issues that we're having here with sustainability trends in the United States are also affecting the rest of the globe. And as a construction industry, when we are value engineering the construction industry, the codes, and everything that's happening right now, we really also want to reevaluate clean uh, gas and other things that are already very readily available to us that perhaps may be more sustainable than electricity, which has turned out to be quite expensive, despite what we have been told for the past couple of years. So, yeah, next headline and last headline is going to be about technology. So, I want to talk about technology and I want to spend a little bit of time on technology because really technology is what is fueling a lot of the changes that are occurring in the construction industry right now. We are in what our writer for this year has dubbed, the construction 4.0 era. And so what is going on right now is that while construction has gone through several technological advances over the years, we are now in our almost fourth industrial type revolution with AI. AI scares a lot of people, even those in the construction industry, because the reality is that construction, yes, is hammers and pliers and heavy equipment and machinery, but there is so much more that happens behind the scenes in the construction industry before, during, and after things are built. So all of that needs to be orchestrated by a group of people, not one person, not two people, not three, usually a group of people. And now we have tools like AI who are helping facilitate some of the reporting, some of the studies, and things of that nature. So, our blog for the month of February that we are in is how AI powered technology is transforming construction. That was written by our very own Olivia Gavlak, who also adds a sweet twist from a Gen Z perspective, and her own author's note at the end. So I do encourage you all to click on the link below and take a read at this article, which also links other articles related to the technology sector and how AI is really transforming our industry overall as a whole. It quickly explains what AI is, a simulation of human intelligence in machines, enabling them to perform tasks typically requiring human cognition. So, if you're still confused what AI is, it's literally, you guys remember Rosie from the Jetsons? Okay, I'm aging myself here. Uh, so Rosie was their little robot that was kind of their personal assistant and maid. And so you really want to take AI and see it for what it is, which is your new personal assistant right here in the palm of your hand or your computer. We can now have workers both in the field and in the office utilizing AI technology to help them as an assistant to do their job. So instead of an employee or a subcontractor telling me that they don't have the time to do an estimate for me or to write me a detailed daily log or to put together a production of a social media show that is focused on headlines here in the US and around the world related to construction and real estate, AI is here to support. And AI helped us produce this show. AI helped Olivia write that blog. And AI helps us run our business on a daily basis. It's even weaved into our construction project management software, which is called Buildertrend. And obviously, if you all follow me on all social media platforms, you know that we are ambassadors for Buildertrend here at Glowjoy. And we are so excited to be meeting with our friends later this month at the International Builder Show. If you are going to be at the Builder Show, please, 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 please shoot me a DM, write it in the comments below, and somebody from our team will make sure that we take some time to either link up or invite you to one of our happy hours. So AI overall, it's going to help improve efficiency in the construction industry. It has for a very long time in design and planning with CAD. You know, we've got BIM, which is builder information modeling. Josh Nieves and I, episode number 20, go back and listen to that. We talked a lot about BIM technology, project management, and scheduling software like Buildertrend, like Procore, like Smartsheets, and I don't know how many other products are out on the market, but oh my God, you could throw a rock and there's a construction technology or new prop tech technology popping up on the market every single day. Okay. So, you know, with that, you can take your pick. We always harp on pick the product that works best for you and your business. We know that not all construction management softwares are created equal, but in 2025, if you are not using software, particularly software that's also utilizing AI technology to help automate things like invoicing and or uploading expenses or even making suggestions on what's being written, etc., then yeah, you've fallen behind in the construction industry. I don't care if you've been around for over 100 years or you've only been around for one. You are behind. So AI is here. It's not going anywhere. And we just need to embrace it. You know, it's, I believe, going to actually help create new jobs since there's a need for people. And we now have a generation who's grown up with technology. Again, the tool belt generation, as we like to call them, and software and hybrid tools like tablets and phones, where we can, you know, do scans in between walls without actually demoing the walls to see what's behind the walls, and all of the other amazing products and equipment that's out there from companies like Hilti and Bosch, which I am so excited to go check out at the Builder Show, are here to stay. So that is not quite AI, but it is also technology that we're using. So I want to encourage folks who are scared of AI and scared of technology to see it as another tool on your tool belt and to embrace it as another tool on your tool belt. You know, we didn't always have all these auto tools or even cordless tools. I remember when my grandfather used to plug in his drill, you know, and now we have nail guns that you can go on roofs and, you know, go up there with like a battery pack and not even be hooked up to anything. Technology has really changed on an equipment side. It's now changing in the back office. It's changing how we plan. It's changing how we budget. It's changing how we schedule and really how we do absolutely everything, even designing rooms. There's AI technology and tools where you can take a photo of a room and change everything up with just a few short clicks. So that is really it for today's show, folks. The four major topics, again, that we covered, you know, the main takeaways are going to be, you know, number one, the economy. All right, let's keep an eye on our economy and let's keep an eye on the housing market. We know that there is a lot of people in the United States. It looks like Gen Z is having babies also. So the birth rates hopefully are also going up. And, you know, the cost of living is still at a sky high, but we are hoping that, you know, given we have just wrapped up an election year, things as per usual and as they did 4 years ago when the last administration came in. After about 6 to 9 months of them being in, things kind of started to stabilize a little bit. And we were able to kind of understand and forecast for the following years to come. Second, the labor market, keeping an eye on the labor market, keeping an eye on events coming up here in the United States, but also globally, where we can encourage more folks to join the construction industry. Obviously, shows like this, where we highlight careers in construction. So if you found value from today's show and you liked what you heard and want to check out some of our past episodes for interviews, I encourage you to follow us on YouTube and check out the Everything Construction Corner podcast live episodes that are there from years past. Today, we're on episode 21. We'll be back with episode 22 next week. And around the world, obviously, there is still a lot of very tight regulations, and there is still a lot of focus on sustainability and keeping things green, and ensuring that we focus on global warming and what that might have to do with housing and the weather, and more weather events, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, fires. I mean, it literally feels like every week there is something new going on. And so while, we didn't want to believe Al Gore in the 90s, and again, aging myself, about global warming, or that the way that we are living, and all of the facilities that we are using to produce our mass produce products, and distribute these products in warehouses and construction, and all these emissions, they have an effect on the environment. And so I'm not an expert in this subject matter, but obviously, as a builder and contractor myself, I stay on top of it. We use products I feel that are very sustainable, and I care about the health and the quality of the build outs that we build. I really, really care about the longevity of the build outs that we build. So, following and keeping with the best in the world who build faster than us, more sustainably than us, and borrowing, not stealing, but borrowing from their practices, I think is always a great way to improve on how we do things here in the United States. Having grown up on a Dutch island, being an expat, I can tell you guys that the way that things are done here in the United States are a little bit behind, personally, compared to most of Europe. And I would love to see us adopt a little bit more of that. It's why I get so excited about going to trade shows, about meeting with other builders, learning how builders in the West Coast, in Arizona, are building for these hot climates, for the fires. Builders in Florida are building for hurricanes. Builders in Mexico and other parts of the Americas are building. Builders in California and their passive house trends, or and also in Canada. So everybody and anybody is welcome in the Everything Construction community. We have a free members club here on LinkedIn. It is a community of people in the construction industry. If you go back and read a snippet and the blurb about the Everything Construction community and the Everything Construction Corner podcast and live stream, this is something that we actually started during the pandemic to kind of keep up with everything that's going on right now, as well as how it might affect us as business owners. So I'm going to close with, if you would like to be a guest in our show and believe that you have something to say and add value to To the production team, I would encourage you all to send us a message, a DM to Glowjoy Co. With your LinkedIn profile. We'll send you a link to apply to come and be a guest at the show. Next week, we are going to have Rocio Luna on with insurance to talk a little bit about insurance and how the insurance market is here in 2025. We've talked about money. We've talked about labor with our guests in January. So let's talk about insurance, because that's also one thing that really, really affects our bottom line and affects our overhead costs. With that, guys, I'm going to sign out. I'm your host one more time, Gloria Marie. Peace.